It's actually 6:02, I guess. I'll call this meeting to order. Mike, would you like to lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think our first order of business at the first meeting after the town meeting would be to elect a chair. But since there's only 3 of us here, maybe we'll put that off to our next meeting.
Yes.
Does that make
Yes.
sense?
I'm going to have to recommend that the board, normally tonight, you would pick all your committees and
Yeah, yes.
commissions that you'd like to serve on. And the fact that we're missing 2 of our selectmen, and I know that there's specific things that they would like to do and weigh in on, I'd say we need to table it to our next meeting.
Right, okay.
And that way we can, you should still vote to continue with you as chair for tonight.
Oh, all right. Well,
Just
does everybody want to let me continue as chair for
I
tonight?
make a
I think
motion
so.
that we allow Mike Conklin to continue as chair for tonight.
I second that.
Well, all those in favor?
Aye.
Sounds like it's unanimous. All right, and then our first order of business is to approve minutes of prior meetings, the first of which was our work session on February 22nd.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Moved by John,
Second.
second by Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we also had a non-public work session on February 22nd and have minutes reflecting that meeting.
Make a
Make-
motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
We'll have Mike make the motion and John second. And finally, the regular meeting minutes from February 22nd.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then our announcements are that our regular meetings coming up will be March 28th and April 11th and April 25th. And the work review sessions will occur prior to the regular meeting at 5. I guess I didn't say it, but the regular meetings are at 6, so 5 and 6. All of these meetings will be held in the town hall. Weather observations for February are available in the town hall. Citizens wishing to be listed on the agenda should notify the town hall before noon on the Friday before the meeting if possible. And road bans for the town of Plymouth are in effect through May 1st. We have what I would call a light agenda. We're going to have some difficulty filling in the period of time between now and 6:15 when we have a public hearing on the Alex Ray donation of the skate park parcel, unless somebody's got something to say. Did we talk about, can we talk about Constellation?
Yes.
I guess we did.
Yes.
We can put that, we can deal with that first. I should maybe describe, the town's been buying its electricity through Constellation New Energy, Inc., I guess the outfit is called, instead of the co-op, because they provide us with a stable rate over a relatively long period of time. And that contract is scheduled to be up, for the most part, in December of this year. It was a 3-year contract. And in the meantime, we've been talking about the possibility of building a solar array, which if we did that, would require us to purchase from the co-op, because there's a net metering element to the solar array thing. But from what I've learned, it doesn't appear that the solar array project is imminent. And so we are going to consider extending the Constellation contract for an additional year, which would take us through December of 17. Does anybody want to make a motion on that? Mr. Curry or Giddy?
I'll make a motion, we extend the we renew the contract with Constellation for a 1-year period.
All right, and
I second.
Mike will second that. Is there any further discussion? It's interesting, Paul was just pointing out to us that the rate has actually decreased by 2+ cents per kilowatt hour for this this year, basically calendar year 2017 it'll be. All right, if there isn't any other discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, well, I guess the other element of that was we wanted to authorize Paul to sign that contract, so can we amend your motion? Was that your motion?
Yeah.
Forgot now.
Yep.
Can we amend your motion to authorize
Amend my
Paul?
motion for Paul to be able to sign as representative.
And you'll second it as amended, I'll bet.
Sure.
Okay, and we'll vote again. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else on our agenda other than our public hearings. Too bad we can't notice that for 6:10.
Your bank letters?
Yeah, you can talk about the
Oh.
bank letters
Oh,
and,
all right, yep.
because we want to handle that as soon as we can, negotiate the lowest.
All right, well, following up on our, the vote on our loan proposal, and in an effort to get the best possible rate on this loan, the town has prepared letters to a number of local banks. And they are Citizens, Bank of New Hampshire, Meredith Village Savings Bank, Woodsville Guarantee Savings Bank, Union Bank, Bond Bank, is that the state's
Yes.
this thing? Franklin Savings Bank and Northway, and I think the plan is that we will sign letters to each of these banks which say, well, it explains in essence that we voted to authorize this borrowing, and then we're asking that the bank present documentation guaranteeing an interest rate effective July 1 of this year with an amortization schedule, and detailing any costs or fees that might be involved. So we're proposing to have all of us sign letters to each of the named banks for that purpose. Do we need a motion to approve these letters, or?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
So if everybody's, yeah, you want to take a look and maybe just sign.
And they're all signed.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
signed them
should've
too.
looked. Oh, well, geez. I didn't, so I'll do it. That'll take a minute. Was there anything you wanted to add to that, Ann, or Paul?
No?
No.
It's, I believe we have a good chance at hitting the rate of 2.8% that we talked about a couple of months ago. I would think that one or two of those banks would get back to us with a rate like that.
Well, they certainly expressed interest when you originally raised the, suggested I think you discussed this preliminarily with a few of them, right? Some
Yep,
time ago?
and then it looked like for a period there for a month that rates might be going up across the country, but then that kind of slowed down, and it was just a couple of weeks ago when we checked with a couple of the banks, they was still at 2.8, the original quote.
Neil? Good evening.
I just got back from Manchester.
Well, I'm glad you came right here. We just, we've got a public hearing at 6:15 on the skate park, so we got 3 minutes. These letters are to the banks listed here, just soliciting a proposal for the loan that we've, approved at the town meeting.
Just before you leave,
Okay.
let him know.
See where I've been.
Oh, nice, yeah. It's not the Ritz.
No.
6:12 according to Verizon.
I can
Yes.
speak to the master plan update. We've got a
Oh,
little something
okay.
going on. if that's
Sharon?
okay. We've had really good response to the survey that the planning board put out, both the paper survey and the online version. So we would encourage folks to continue to bring in the surveys, and particularly the paper survey has a lot of opining, and it's really good.
How many responses do you have, do you know?
We haven't tabulated them all yet. I know there were several hundred on the website, and that was a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
So we're getting, handfuls every day of the paper surveys, and Josie, our intern, is doing the data entry on that. So the follow-up to that process, once we close out the survey data entry, will be for April, May, and June. April 27th, May 12th, and 26th, and June 2nd. We'll get some information disseminated out, but that will be a series of 4 roundtables for different topic areas, the PSU, Town of Plymouth interface, economic development, infrastructure, and environmental natural resource issues, 4 general topic areas to invite the public to, so the public can anticipate getting some more information on that. So we're chugging along on the master plan update.
Wonderful, thank you.
And I think that should be
Pretty close to 6:15 right there, huh? Just check Verizon time again. You want to do this right. Ooh, it says 13.
Do they have to vote on anything? Just for posting.
So it was awfully nice of you guys to show up tonight.
We're a little early.
Paul just changed it.
It's been a long day. Been a long daylight savings time day.
We're happy to be here.
I'm going to say it's 6:15.
Is Bill
And-
coming?
Bill is not, or no, he's not coming.
You want to hold these for him to sign them?
I think Ann will take him back and then maybe have him downstairs.
You want this too?
So we have a second public hearing scheduled for 6:15 tonight to discuss the donation of a parcel of land from Local Motives LLC, which would have the effect of conveying a parcel of land to the town of Plymouth comprised of 3.9 acres, which has a complex tax map number here, and I'm not going to read it. The acreage is based on a 1-lot subdivision approved by the planning board on December 17th of last year. It would be added to the abutting town-owned half-acre parcel, which also has a long number. And the purpose of these public hearings is really to obtain any public input on the proposed acquisition of this land. And these, Mike Courier, Alex Ray, and Bill Clark are here representing the skate park, and they probably feel this is a unduly long process, because I think this is, I don't know, maybe the 6th or 8th time Mike's been here for some reason related to the skate park in the last several months, and Bill and Alex have both been here before as well and have explained it in some detail, so I suppose.
It's hard to give something away, you know.
Yeah. Easier to sell it probably, right?
It's not too late.
That's right, it's not. So I guess, I'm not even sure it's necessary. Well, I guess Mike could give it, or one of you guys could give you a little explanation if you'd like. I don't know if it's even necessary. We've all heard it so often. Maybe, I suppose I should ask if there's any public comment, but I only see one uninvolved person, or one person who's not, directly involved with skate.
But he likes
Frank?
it. He likes it.
Oh, I support it. I'm in support of it.
That's
right.
unanimous. One man.
All right, well, that's what it is. I mean, Mike has explained this a number of times, and, basically it involves the town acquiring the parcel that's comprised of the skate park, and Park and Rec is going to take over some of the maintenance responsibilities, and the folks that are presently involved with the skate park and on its board will remain involved for some period of time for purposes of some planned fundraising and some additional improvements which they expect to make down there. And we're in the process of trying to put together a little operating agreement that will specify who's going to do what and who has what authority, but that isn't quite done yet. But basically, it's going to be sort of turned over, but somewhat gradually, to the town once the conveyancing is done. And we're going to get a deed probably right after this public hearing, and that agreement is done, I think. And once that's recorded, it will be ours.
Is there an approximate time frame for the reopening?
Oh, and the other thing about this that's important is that it was warm out the last couple of days, and what's driving this, and to some extent, is that the nonprofit that owns or that runs the skate park right now has been paying a massive amount of money in insurance every year, and the town is going to put this on its liability policy, and I don't think it's going to make a difference in the premium because we have a lot of exposure anyway, but it's just going to be covered under our liability policy, which will relieve the nonprofit from that expense. And since their policy is expired, we want to do this as quickly as possible so that the kids can get back out there.
Going over the lock fence
Yeah.
recently.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Yes.
question
Neil.
for Mr. Courier. Is there a skateboard club or organization?
Not per se. The college has their board club, which is snowboarding and skateboarding. So in that sense, there is one. The high school kids, generally there's a group of them that like to go down there. They pretty much mingle with the college kids in that. But there's nothing per se set up where they do little fundraising and whatnot. I expect that when it comes to raising any funds in the future, that the snowboard club will probably be happily involved in running like a skate jam,
Yeah,
something like that.
like organized events?
Yeah, yeah. And I was just in touch with the original folks who built what exists there now, prior to the big pad. Who Skates, which is a company out of Kennebunkport, Maine, and we're back in touch for them to come this spring. And we have $10,000 to finish up the north and south ends to tie them into those little ends, but we put features on top. And I spoke with the president a couple days ago, and they're going to work something out so we can get that piece done. And then our goal is we have a where's the camera? We have a fundraiser this Thursday night, which we're going to do pretty well with, as well as a golf tournament in the fall, and we have the White Mountain Brewers Festival, which will run again. We should amass enough money, I believe, to finish the whole interior, complete replacement of any chinks or nooks and crannies on the bowl. It'll essentially, for a number of years, be maintenance-free inside the park. The other piece is, as far as outside the park, we're putting a low-lying ground cover that won't require to be mowed or anything. That'll go around on the hill, the viewing area, and in front we have a couple of flower beds there, but we're just going to go with the ground cover that won't require any kind of mowing or maybe a little trimming from time to time, but not much. So I don't see the town, I don't see the cost being very, very much the town on a regular basis. And we haven't done anything to that bowl for 5 years. It's still in pretty good shape.
Do the artists have any kind of organized activity? The artists?
No, they're kind of freelance guys. They all know each other, and they just kind of come in and do their thing, and it's on weekends or sometimes in the evenings. And they know each other. They will wait a few weeks, and then they'll paint over somebody else's, so they kind of rotate like that. But I've gotten phone calls from Massachusetts and other parts of the state. Just recently, a parent called, and his 2 kids like to do that stuff. He says, can they come up? Does it cost anything? And I said, No, they're free walls. So we've got people from all over the place coming up to do the work on the walls. And, you know, they've been very respectful of it a couple times when some inappropriate things there, and I've asked the guys to like just cover it up, and they do that. So it's been a pretty good environment down there. We have not had any incidences of any sort.
Would you be able to expand the walls?
I would love to see that happen because it's really pretty unique, and they're probably the only free walls in the state of New Hampshire and maybe New England. We're actually on a website for graffiti, which I didn't realize it until my wife had looked it up and pointed it out. But so we're out there, and I think it's just a great addition of another area where, you know, kids and adults can, you know, do some cool stuff.
Thank you.
I have a comment. I'd like to keep it closed until the deed is signed by the town.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's the plan. Actually, you're the one that's gonna be signing the deed, but
Yeah,
maybe
well,
when
we
it's
all-
recorded,
Yeah, it's a transfer without
yeah.
tax implications, but I'm speaking for my insurance company, because, you know, everybody's liable, whether
Right.
wherever we are, so I just, there has been minimal activity this winter, and I had hoped it would be done by now, but it's not, but I just don't want, I just would like to.
Well, I was the one who agreed to take another stab at that agreement, so I'll do that this week.
So I'm asking for expedition as far as possible and to keep it closed
Do you,
until.
I don't even know, do you think do we need that done before we take the title? I
No,
mean-
that's your implementation piece.
I mean, I don't have any concern about,
As I understand, there's a tacit agreement that the skate park board and our Rec and Parks Commission are going to work to hammer out literally the operating procedures.
Well, that can follow. But
Right,
but
right,
the
yeah.
The actual transfer will
Yeah,
be
it's
the
seconded.
deed.
But that's what Mike was referring to before. That's kind of the operating agreement, if you will. And I
Yeah.
think that's pending.
I would feel comfortable myself having this closing done even before that,
Yeah.
because we've had a meeting with Larry Gibson and these folks, and I think everybody's pretty much on the same page.
Yeah, we were just waiting for you to have a meeting. It was, it was certain dates that everybody was meeting with their boards to bring it back to the table, and then that would be the conclusion, finalization of that document.
Yeah, we can do, I mean, did somebody send that deed down to Radigan from the town, do you know?
Kathy may have.
I thought I heard she did, but I looked at it, I mean, it looks fine to me.
Well, Jack and Radigan were going back and forth.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Okay, so he does have it. So maybe when they're done, racking up the fees there, we can get that.
Enough time is to write the billable.
But,
He's back for
As a
a
kid.
few days.
Yeah.
maybe, we could just, maybe we could check in with Radigan tomorrow and see if that's done, and if it is.
We'll be out all week, so maybe
Yeah.
Ann and I can
Yeah,
pick up the
wherever
ball.
you call, we're gonna go. It's the other-
Yeah, you could do that, Sharon. And then if they're ready, I mean, it just needs to be signed and recorded.
So would that be, once it's signed and recorded, then we could unlock it?
Well, and, we need to make sure we've gotten in touch with I don't know what we need to do with our insurer, but we want to make sure.
Does Larry have any comments for?
Yeah, and that's right, yeah. Larry, what do you think about all this? Are we jumping the gun here?
No, I mean, we support the decision because of the insurance, the liability, the cost for the skate committee to have to continue to fund that. But the other concerns, and I think we can hammer this out, is between the commission and the skate park committee, is just the long-term maintenance. What's the conclusion of the project? The landscaping, I certainly would like my maintenance guys to be involved in that as far as the design or preventative maintenance, because, we're picking up another piece of property. There's just another piece of property that my guys have to maintain, and it may not, and I think we discussed this at last week's meeting, that they're not gonna have to be down there on a weekly basis, but there's just things I think we need to hammer out as far as the maintenance agreement. Anything that goes wrong with the park, as far as any replacements, you know, where does that money come from? And I think the committee will probably have extra money left over that we can obviously use that. But once that fundraising money is gone, where does, and if there are any major repairs, where does that money come from? And who's responsible for that? And most of our parks, or all of our parks, are carry in, carry out as far as trash. But again, I'm not going to go through all those details tonight. I think the commission, I think the skateboard committee, I think we discussed that the committee would continue to be a committee that we could go to them for advice and the operation of the park itself. So I just think there's details that have to be hammered out there. But as far as the long-term maintenance, I am concerned about picking up another piece of property for my guys to have to maintain. But as long as I don't know what the plans are for the future landscaping down there of that parcel of land, but I would like, you know, Jim Blake, the park foreman, to be involved in that if he is going to be the one that has to maintain that. You know, I don't know how much grass or shrubs or whatever, what the plan is. I don't know at that point. But again, I think that can be discussed with the two commission and the committee members on that. But I certainly understand the need, the insurance piece. I think it's a good move. It's a lot of money that the skate park organization had to raise to offer that park being open to the public and covering that insurance. But now by putting it under the town, they're exempt with skateboard through the state, and I think we can work out the details on that. So.
Larry, just to clarify from what I gathered from the meeting we had, I get the impression that these guys are going to stick with it for a while, primarily for purposes of making the improvements that they are raising money for.
Yeah, and what the time frame is, we're looking at spring of 2017, next spring, to finish up with whatever money we raise in our big fundraiser.
But you've done a great job to this point, and again, I just think that, you know, keep us in mind on that, and any design or any landscaping that you would have. Obviously, how, you know, simplifying it is best for us, that we're not constantly down there mowing grass and
Right. Well, that's why
picking weeds and watering and all that kind of stuff.
So that's why I wanted to go with a ground cover versus anything else, because that's minimal maintenance.
Yep.
Once you get that in, and that's the thing, is we wanted to make sure that when we did this, we gave a completed park. We didn't want to give something that was half done. So
Sure.
we wanted to make it easy on everybody. I mean,
Yep.
I'm a taxpayer in town, you know, I feel the same way about expenses, and we want to make it as easy as possible for everybody and to not be a burden on the taxpayers at all.
Mike wanted to say something about 20 minutes ago, I think.
So the last I remember, from the planning board standpoint, when you came before us, there wasn't anything about the bikes. And so I'm assuming that's all within the lot.
Yeah.
Is there a lot more that has to be done to finish up that and the maintenance? I'd be concerned about for the rec department to have to maintain the bike area with the dirt and erosion, and who would?
I think the bike people, it's really separate from us, but they thought that would be a cool idea and, you know, whatnot, and it seems to be very popular. I think their organization, their club, is going to maintain it. They've got their sifter that still sits down there for the dirt that's brought in, and they built that stuff up and around, but it certainly should be clean. You know, I'll take a lead on getting that cleaned up so it looks better, and we'll have to talk with Slade Warner to find out what the intent is of the bike club as far as maintaining it, because that's who I see should be doing it.
Because I can picture when the next flood comes through.
Yeah, a little muddy.
I'd just like to add to that, I think, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the club, but I think they would continue to help us and maintain that, just like they put the trails in over at Fox Park.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, they're not just going to, I don't think they're just going to not put something in and walk away from it.
Yeah, it's not a-
Continue.
Yeah, and it benefits them to keep it up.
Yeah.
And I see parents with their kids. It's added quite a nice, we have the skate park, which primarily are the younger kids, the teenagers and the 20-somethings. But then you've got, I see dads with the boys, the moms with the boys and girls over there, and it really kind of gives a different flavor, a different feel, which is good, because it kind of tempers things a little bit, so it becomes more of a whole park for, all ages. I think it's becomes more of a family situation too, which I think is better in the long run for everyone.
Yes.
You've done such a great job, maybe you can push a pool through the town too.
Just off the levy of a penny.
Do we have a place for a big recreation center, a pool?
We could probably find one if we had $10 million or so.
Talk to Daniel Lee, economics professor at the university.
Does he know about pools or rec centers or?
No, he's offered to come to the select board to help with a project for
Okay. Yeah.
seeing the cost, feasibility, and
My wife and I have agreed that this is probably going to be all set for a while.
She wants some time, huh?
You say maybe, she says no.
Right.
It's the northern pass, once it goes down Main Street, is it gonna be going down the left side of Route 3, down that way?
Well, right now, I think there's an SEC hearing going on over at the ice rink, and they're talking about whatever they're talking about. I guess if we had our way, it wouldn't go down through Plymouth at all. And I don't know exactly where it is they're planning to put it. They haven't spoken to us about it for quite some time. They were here once and spoke to Paul like 6 months ago, and sometime after that, we voted to have them come to the board if they wanted to discuss it with the town, so that it would be a public meeting, and I don't think we've heard from them since then. So your question was, where is the thing proposed, how it might affect?
How it would affect that
I think their
intersection?
plan is to go right down the middle of, or, right down Main Street. I don't think they're planning to go off to the side there, down in that area. Any other comments or questions or issues to discuss concerning the skate park? And if not, I will pretend I'm banging the gavel and close the public hearing. And I guess if there's, is there any other business that we need to conduct? Yes, Frank. Yes, Frank.
It's actually nice that Alex is here. Another one example of Alex Gray's generosity. The community garden, we have a meeting this Wednesday. Alex has donated, allowed the community garden to use the plots at the end of North Main Street by the river. And we'll possibly have some lots open, so if anybody knows anybody that wants to be part of the community garden, let us know, because we're getting ready for the season.
Wonderful, thank you. Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
You second, you just got here.
He's got to stay a while.
All right, if there's nothing else, all those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.